which posits the possibility from, correct me if I'm wrong, from your side, that numbers would be a projection of the mind. So how does logic that you've said and admitted is immaterial work with in terms of the mind? If
Okay,
logic is immaterial, does it have an ontological status within the mind? And if it does, how can it be immaterial when the mind is material?
yeah, so what I was trying to say as a general overview is that numbers, morality, and logic, they're all in the same boat. Even time, does time exist? They're all in the same boat. These are things that philosophers with PhDs will argue about.
But that's bro, Bernie.
Hmm?
I respect you for your, when I'm listening to you on the, I've watched a couple of your videos, and what I find about you is you're very confident and you know your stuff, so I wouldn't even begin to tussle with you on scientific stuff, because I know your stuff, and I'd need a few weeks to do my research. But if a creationist came on and responded like that, you would do the Bernie smile. You know, that little smile where you know that you've kind of like, that's not cutting you. Just to say that philosophers debate or discuss, you've made a statement that you said that logic is immaterial. Now, is the brain material? And if the brain is
Well,
material,
well, okay.
how
So,
do the two connect?
okay, so so I said what I said about. What I'm trying to say is that people much smarter than 10 times smarter than both of us argue about these things in philosophy. Okay, so that's just background. So now I'll go forward with you and talk to you logically based on my understanding. But the big picture is, if you say, how did the laws of logic come to be? I would say the big question is, I don't know.
Well, the law of non-contradiction was discovered by Aristotle, and it was debated by, Hegel tried to negate it, but but if it's something that we've invented, or it's a social construct, then it's not really, everything that you've been doing, you're arguing for against creationists, and everything that we're doing
No, no,
now.
no, wait, I would not say it's a social construct.
Okay,
I, I, I think we have agreement that it's something that's separate from time, space, matter, and all that stuff. It's something that transcends that.
okay. So is it something that is created by the mind itself, even though it's not a social construct?
Well, like you said, I agree with you. I think we think similarly that it's discovered.
But you've admitted that it's immaterial, but is it a projection? Is basic laws of logic, is it something, a projection of the mind, or is it something that is also
I lost your video there. Can you repeat the question?
the the issue is that you've admitted that it's the law of the basic laws are immaterial, which to me that is very big of you. That's very honest for you to do that. But it seems to me then there seems to be a bit of a trouble there, is that from what I know of what I've seen of your videos, you're very one of the big things for you is you're very scientifically orientated. This is the big thing that you would be believing in some kind of materialist understanding of the brain, that the brain is material, and
Well,
therefore.
instead of saying material, can you say naturalistic? I think it makes more sense. It's more
Okay,
clear.
okay, if you want me to do that,
Okay.
I'll do that, Bernie. Yeah, if it
Okay.
if it if it's from a naturalistic perspective on the brain. So how could you just? I'm not trying to trick you. I'm just trying to. How do you connect the two? How are the two connected? How's logic that is immaterial, basic laws? Because there's logic that brain to this immaterial logic. How do you get the two together?
Okay,
Because
I think I lost half of your question, but I got some of the words. So the way it seems pretty clear that we have the physical brain, and from the physical brain emerges a mind, just like blood flow emerges from the heart and the circulatory system. You've got the mind, which is an activity of the brain. So I don't see anything supernatural going on there.
so
Yeah, go ahead.
no, go on. I'm listening, bro.
So, and then as far as morality, I mean, not morality, as far as logic, it seems like, um, there's logical truths out there, and I don't know, like I said, I don't know. I'm kind of like you, where it's not something I'm an expert at. I think it seems like that's a very difficult question for even people with PhDs to understand.
Well, to me, it goes to the heart. If you look at the history of the Enlightenment, if you look at Kant and the great philosophers and the great scientists up to the last 200 years, the issue of this, all this creation, evolution, and all this, it all comes down to rationality and how we understand rationality, and whose position is most rational. And and so if we can't really grapple with this question of the nature of rationality, because that's the key. Because when I'm listening to you debating, what you're doing is you want to explain things in a rational way, and you believe that your position is a more rational position, and I respect that position, and so this issue of logic and the nature of logic is not just a philosophical pie in the sky, or it is a very deep debate, which you're correct to say that, and I think that's really right to say that. But Bernie, when you look at your side of the equation, when you look at your scholars and thinkers, and you look at our side and whatever, personally, this is my own thinking, reading the history of the Enlightenment, is it all comes down to ultimately whose understanding of rationality is the best. Because these debates about DNA, the complexity of DNA, and then the rejoinders that you make with your arguments of using DNA and the similarities between apes and humans, and all these arguments that you're using, you're bringing in rationality and trying to understand things in a rational way. So this is a very important topic. I'm not using this as some would use to get away from evidential stuff, because if you say to me, Jay, okay, let's have a debate on evolution, if you give me a few weeks on it, I'll do the research for you, and I'll look at, you send me the papers, I'll read it. But I think it is an important topic, and you are right, it is quite deep. But I think that I need to engage in it more, and I think also you need to engage in it more, bro.
Well, let me give my opinion is the question doesn't matter at all, because we have an agreement that rationality is important, logic and reason is important. So we already have a common ground. So from my perspective, what we need to do is move forward. And for example, when I talk to Kent Hovind, he's a young earth creationist. He says there's no evidence for evolution. I say there is evidence for evolution. So we have common ground of logic and reason. The whole debate is over the evidence. It has nothing to do with where did logic come from. Another thing I want to say about what you said is, you said you have your side, I have my side, but there's no such thing when it comes to evolution, because you can find evangelical Christians like Francis Collins. In fact, most of the scientists, even if they're religious, they accept evolution. So evolution is not an atheistic thing. There is no your side. There is no Christian side to evolution. There's a lot of Christians that accept evolution.
Okay, I think if I can come back at you, that is that my expertise is historical Jesus studies, not in evolution like you and stuff like that. And in historical Jesus studies, there's a guy called Dominic Crossan who's a skeptic, and he was challenged by James White, and James White said there are presuppositions that we have to put on the table, and he said, and in his Irish accent, he said, yeah, but there's data, he said. So he's agreeing with you there in terms of there's data that we've got to look at and there is common ground. But there is a complex interplay between evidences and our presuppositions. There is that complex interplay. And so, yes, there is common ground, but at the same time, we do have to look at the nature of evidence. And I would totally agree